I never thought a simple group text would change everything. But there it was, glowing on my phone screen at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. We think it's best you step away for now. From my own parents in the family group chat, with my aunt immediately reacting with a thumbs up emoji, like she was agreeing to a dinner reservation instead of cutting me out of the family. My name is Madison Chen, and I've been the invisible daughter for 34 years. You know the type, present when they need something, absent when they're making memories. I'm a software engineer. I live alone in a decent apartment in Austin, and apparently I'm no longer welcome at family gatherings. I stared at that message for a full 10 minutes, watching as more family members saw it. Red receipts piling up. No one defending me, no one asking why. Just digital silence that felt louder than any argument we'd ever had. The thing is, this wasn't new. This was just the first time they'd made it official. Let me take you back to when I first realised I was different. I was 7 years old, standing in our living room in my best dress. The blue one with tiny flowers that I'd picked out special for family photo day. Mum was fussing over my older brother Jake, making sure his hair was perfect, while Dad adjusted the camera settings for the 100th time. "Okay, everyone, let's get positioned," Dad called out. "Jake, you stand here next to Mum. Sarah, you go on Dad's other side." I waited for my turn, and waited. They kept adjusting, moving around, discussing the lighting. Finally, I spoke up in my small voice. "Where should I stand?" Mum glanced at me like she'd forgotten I existed. "Oh, honey, you're blocking the window light. Maybe you could step back a little?" A little became a lot. A lot became outside the frame entirely. They took 17 photos that day, and I wasn't in a single one. When I asked why later, Mum said, "You just weren't standing right, sweetheart. Maybe next time." There never was a next time, at least not for me. That became the pattern. Christmas morning photos. Madison was in the bathroom. Easter pictures? Madison was serving the food. High school graduation celebrations? Madison was taking the photos. I became the family photographer by default because I was never considered part of the picture. But the real breaking point came 3 years ago. Jake was getting married to his college girlfriend, Emma. Beautiful wedding, 6 months of planning, every detail perfect. I helped with everything. Drove Mom to dress fittings, helped address invitations, even contributed $2,000 for the open bar because family helps family. The wedding was on a Saturday in June. I had my bridesmaid dress picked out, dusty rose like Emma had requested. I'd taken time off work, arranged for a hotel room, the whole thing. 2 weeks before the wedding, Emma called me. "Madison, I need to talk to you about something." "Sure, what's up?" Last-minute wedding jitters. "Well, it's about the wedding party. Jake and I have been talking, and we realised we have too many people in the wedding party. It's going to look uneven in photos." My stomach dropped. "Okay." So we decided to make some cuts. "We're really sorry, but we're going to have you step down as a bridesmaid. You can still come to the wedding, of course. We just need you to maybe sit with the extended family instead of up front." Extended family. At my own brother's wedding, I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why his college roommate, who'd been in the wedding party for all of 2 months, got to stay when his sister got cut. Instead, I heard myself saying, "Of course, whatever makes you happy." You're the best, Madison. You're so understanding. Oh, and could you still help with setup the day before? We could really use an extra pair of hands. I showed up. I decorated. I arranged flowers. I watched my brother marry the love of his life from the 4th row, sitting between Great Aunt Martha and some cousins I'd met twice. During the reception, I caught the bouquet, which felt like the universe's idea of a sick joke. Emma hugged me and whispered, "See, everything worked out perfectly." That night, alone in my hotel room, still in my guest dress instead of the bridesmaid dress hanging unworn in my closet, I realised something fundamental. I wasn't part of this family. I was staff. But here's the thing about being staff. They only appreciate you when you're gone. After Jake's wedding, I started pulling back. Not dramatically, just quietly. I stopped volunteering for every family event. Stopped dropping everything when Mum called with some crisis. Stopped being available 24/7 for whatever they needed. And you know what happened? Nothing. No one noticed. The family kept functioning perfectly without my constant availability, which should have been freeing, but instead felt like confirmation of what I'd always suspected. I was never really necessary. I was just convenient. Fast forward to last month. Dad had what Mom dramatically called a health scare, which turned out to be acid reflux and anxiety. But during those few scary hours in the ER, waiting for test results, I saw how the family really worked. Jake paced the waiting room, fielding concerned calls from Emma. Sarah held Mom's hand and brought her tissues. My aunt, Patricia, organised a meal train for Dad's recovery. And me? I sat in the corner chair, scrolling through work emails, because no one had thought to include me in any of the planning or comforting. When Dad was discharged with a prescription for antacids and instructions to reduce stress, the family went to his favourite restaurant to celebrate. I found out about it 3 days later through a Facebook post. "So grateful for family," a mum had written with a picture of everyone at dinner, everyone except me. That's when I realised that being excluded wasn't an accident or an oversight. It was a choice, their choice. Which brings me back to that Tuesday afternoon text message. "We think it's best you step away for now." The context: Mum was planning her 60th birthday party. Big celebration, rented venue, the works. Apparently, there had been discussions about the guest list, about keeping things drama-free, about making sure everyone invited would mesh well together. I wasn't meshing well, apparently. Too independent, too career-focused, too different from the family vision of who I should be. Jake had gotten married and given them grandchildren to dote on. Sarah had stayed close to home and called every day. I had moved to a different city, built a life they didn't understand, and failed to provide them with grandchildren or drama-free compliance. So they were politely uninviting me from Mum's birthday via group text with my aunt's thumbs up approval. I screenshotted the message, not because I planned to use it against them, but because I needed proof that this had actually happened, that my own family had essentially fired me from being their daughter. Then I wrote back, simple, clean, professional, understood, I'll respect that, and step away from the family fun too. And I meant it, because here's what they didn't realise in their careful planning of who belonged and who didn't. I wasn't just the family member they could easily exclude. I was also the family member who'd been quietly keeping them financially afloat for the past 8 years. It started when Dad's business hit some rough patches during the 2016 recession. Just temporary, he'd said, just until we get back on our feet. $2,000 a month to help with the mortgage. I could afford it, and family helps family, right? Then Jake needed help with his student loans while he was job hunting after college, another $800 a month. Just until I get established, that was 4 years ago, he got established. The payments continued. Sarah's car died, and she needed reliable transportation for her job. Could I help with the car payment? Just $300 a month. Of course I could. Mum wanted to go back to school for her nursing degree. Tuition assistance, $400 a month. You're investing in our family's future, honey. Before I knew it, I was contributing $3,200 a month to various family expenses. Not loans, contributions. Because family doesn't charge family interest. And besides, I was single with no kids and a good tech job. I could afford it more easily than anyone else. $3,200 a month, $38,400 a year, for 8 years. I'd contributed over $300,000 to keep my family comfortable. The same family that just uninvited me from a birthday party via group text. The same family that consistently excluded me from photos, celebrations, and decisions. The same family that saw me as convenient, not essential. Well, they were about to learn the difference. That Tuesday night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and started making changes. Not angry changes, calm, methodical, business-like changes. If I wasn't family enough to be included in celebrations, then I wasn't family enough to be included in financial responsibilities either. First, I logged into my bank account and cancelled the automatic transfer to Dad's Mortgage Assistance Fund. 8 years of payments ended with 3 clicks. Next, I called Jake's loan servicer and removed myself as the co-payer on his student loans. That phone call took 23 minutes and required 3 different representatives, but by the end of it, Jake was solely responsible for his own debt. Sarah's car payment was through my credit union. 1 quick call and I was no longer the primary account holder. The car payments would need to come from somewhere else starting next month. Mum's tuition payments were the easiest to cancel, just a quick login to the school's payment portal and a removal of my saved payment method. By 11:47 p.m, I had systematically untangled myself from every financial obligation to my family. Not out of spite, but out of simple logic. If I was being asked to step away from the family, then it only made sense to step away completely. I made myself a cup of tea and sat on my couch looking out at the Austin skyline. For the first time in years, my monthly budget had an extra $3,200 in it. I could take that vacation to Japan I'd been postponing. I could finally upgrade my car. I could invest in my own future instead of subsidizing theirs. It felt quiet, not angry, not sad exactly, just quiet. I was about to find out that the quiet wouldn't last long. The first sign of trouble came at 3:11 a.m. My phone started buzzing on my nightstand. Dad calling. I let it go to voicemail. Then Jake called, then Sarah, then Mom, then Patricia. By sunrise, I had 89 missed calls and 43 unread text messages. I made coffee and toast while my phone continued its electronic tantrum on the counter. This was fascinating, actually. In 8 years of financial contributions, I'd never seen this level of urgent communication from my family. When they needed money, it was always presented as casual requests. When you get a chance, or no rush, but apparently when the money stopped flowing, suddenly everything became urgent. I finally checked Dad's voicemail around 7 a.m. Madison, what happened? The bank flagged everything. Call me back immediately. There's some kind of error with the accounts. Error, that's what he called it. An error, I texted him back, keeping the same calm tone I'd used the day before. I'm honouring your decision. Then I turned off my phone and went to work. At my office, I found myself oddly productive. Without the constant background stress of managing my family's financial drama alongside my own responsibilities, I felt lighter. I finished a project that had been dragging for weeks. I scheduled that dentist appointment I'd been putting off. I even had lunch with my co-worker Jennifer, who'd been trying to set me up with her brother for months. You seem different today, Jennifer observed over salads. More relaxed. I simplified my budget, I told her, which was technically true. Ah, money stress, the worst kind. I'm glad you sorted it out. If only she knew how I'd sorted it out. When I turned my phone back on at 5 p.m, the missed calls had climbed to over 100. There were also several texts from numbers I didn't recognise. Apparently, extended family members had been recruited to reach out. But the most interesting message was from Jake. Madison, I don't know what this is about, but we need to talk. Emma's pregnant, and we can't afford to lose the loan assistance right now. Emma's pregnant. My first thought was congratulations. My second thought was interesting timing to share this news. I scrolled through more messages. Sarah, the car is going to get repossessed. Please call me back. Mum, honey, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. Call me. Dad, this is ridiculous, Madison. We're family. We're family. Funny how that worked. I wasn't family enough to invite to birthday parties, but I was family enough to bankroll everyone's lifestyle. The last message was from Mom, sent just an hour earlier. Emergency family meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. This situation needs to be resolved immediately. Everyone needs to be there, even me, apparently. The same me they'd asked to step away just 24 hours earlier. I poured myself a glass of wine and considered my options. I could go to the family meeting and explain my position. I could continue ignoring their calls until they figured out I was serious. Or I could do something that would make my boundaries crystal clear. I chose option 3. I opened my laptop and started typing an email. Not to send to them, they'd had enough chances to communicate like adults. This email was for me to organise my thoughts and figure out exactly what I wanted to say when the inevitable confrontation happened. Because one thing was becoming very clear. They still didn't understand what they'd done. They thought this was about money. They thought this was about some kind of misunderstanding or technical error. They didn't realise this was about something much more fundamental. This was about the fact that I'd spent 34 years trying to earn my place in a family that had already decided I didn't belong. The email I drafted that night never got sent. Instead, I printed it out and tucked it into my purse, a reminder of my thoughts in case I needed clarity later. Wednesday morning brought 17 more missed calls before 8 a.m., but I went to work as usual. My boss, David, noticed I seemed unusually focused. Chen, whatever you're doing differently, keep it up. That code review was flawless. If only he knew that removing family drama from my life had apparently improved my professional performance too. By Wednesday afternoon, the calls had escalated. My phone buzzed with an unknown number, and when I answered out of curiosity, it was my cousin Michael, whom I'd spoken to maybe 5 times in the past decade. Madison, thank God. Look, I don't know what's going on, but Aunt Patricia asked me to call. She says there's some kind of family emergency. There's no emergency, Michael. I'm just honouring a request to step away from family involvement. What are you talking about? Step away from what? The fact that Michael didn't even know about the group text told me everything. The family had reached out to distant relatives for help without explaining the actual situation. They were painting me as the problem without mentioning that they'd excluded me first. Ask Patricia to show you the group chat from Tuesday, I said calmly. She gave it a thumbs up. Michael paused. Madison, I'm sure this is just some misunderstanding. I'm sure it's not, but I appreciate you calling. That evening, as I settled in with takeout Thai food and a Netflix series, my building's intercom buzzed. The doorman's voice crackled through. Miss Chen, you have visitors. Are Mr. and Mrs. Chen here to see you? My parents. They'd driven 3 hours from Dallas to Austin without calling first. Bold move for people who just uninvited me from family events. Send them up, I said, because putting this off wouldn't make it go away. When I opened my apartment door, Mum immediately tried to hug me. I stepped back politely and she faltered, her arms awkwardly half extended. Madison, honey, we need to talk. Come in, I said, gesturing to my living room. Can I get you water? Coffee? They sat on my couch, looking around my apartment like they were seeing it for the first time. Which I realised they probably were. In 8 years of living here, they'd visited exactly twice, both times to ask for financial help. Dad cleared his throat. Madison, there seems to be some kind of computer error with the bank transfers. They're saying you cancelled everything, but that can't be right. It's not an error, Dad. I cancelled the transfers. Mum's face went pale. What do you mean you cancelled them? Why would you do that? I sat across from them in my armchair, maintaining the same calm tone I'd used all week. You asked me to step away from the family. I'm respecting that request completely. We didn't mean... Mom started, then stopped, looking at Dad helplessly. What exactly did you mean? I asked, because the message seemed pretty clear. We think it's best you step away for now. Past tense. Decision made. I'm just following through. Dad leaned forward, his business negotiation voice kicking in. Madison, you're being dramatic. It's a birthday party, not this. This what? This financial nuclear option, he said, gesturing vaguely. You're punishing the whole family because of a guest list decision. I almost laughed. Financial nuclear option, as if my money had been some kind of weapon I was wielding instead of a gift I'd been giving. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm simply aligning my financial commitments with my family status. You've made it clear that I'm not close enough family to attend celebrations, so I'm not close enough family to fund them either. Mom started crying, not the gentle tears of sadness, but the frustrated tears of someone who wasn't getting her way. Madison, you're taking this completely wrong. We just thought, with everything going on, it would be easier if what? If I wasn't there? If we kept things simple? Dad finished. Patricia thought it might be better to have a smaller gathering, more intimate. You know how you can be at family events. How can I be? Quiet, standoffish, like you don't want to be there, Wakin. The irony was stunning. I was standoffish because I'd learned through years of experience that I wasn't really wanted. And now they were using my learned behaviour as justification for excluding me. Did it occur to you to ask me how I felt about the party instead of making decisions about me without me? They exchanged glances. The answer was clearly no. Look, Dad said, we can work this out. Come to the party. Everything goes back to normal. We're family. What does that mean to you, Dad, being family? It means we stick together. We help each other. I've been helping for 8 years. When have you helped me? Another exchanged glance. Mum wiped her eyes with a tissue from her purse. We supported your career choices. We didn't pressure you to get married or have kids like some families would. You didn't pressure me because you weren't involved enough in my life to pressure me. There's a difference between support and indifference. Dad's face was getting red, his tell when he was losing an argument and didn't like it. Madison, this is ridiculous. You're talking about $300,000 over 8 years. That's not pocket change. No, it's not. It's my contribution to a family that doesn't consider me close enough to include in celebrations. Do you see the disconnect? The money was never about. It wasn't transactional, Mum said weakly. Wasn't it? I contribute, you accept. I stop contributing, you panic. Sounds pretty transactional to me. Dad stood up, pacing to my kitchen window. Fine. You want to be included in party planning? You're included. You want input on family decisions? You've got it. But this financial manipulation has to stop. It's not manipulation, it's boundaries, and it's not temporary. Both of them stared at me. Mum's crying had stopped, replaced by something like shock. What do you mean it's not temporary? She whispered. I mean, I'm done being the family ATM while being treated like a distant relative. If you want a financial relationship, we can have a financial relationship. But then we're business partners, not family. And business partners have contracts and boundaries and mutual respect. You can't be serious, Dad said. I'm completely serious. You can choose how you want to relate to me as family, which means including me in decisions and celebrations and treating me like I matter. Or as a financial resource, which means formal agreements and professional boundaries. But you can't have both the money and the exclusion. Dad's face went from red to purple. This is extortion. No, this is clarity. Extortion would be threatening to expose something unless you pay me. This is the opposite. I'm stopping payment until you decide what kind of relationship you actually want. Mum looked around my apartment again, taking in the nice furniture, the art on the walls, the general sense of a life well lived. You've always been so independent, she said softly. Even as a child, you never seemed to need us. And there it was, the heart of the whole thing. I learned not to need you because needing you was consistently disappointing. But wanting to be included isn't the same as needing support. I wanted to belong. I wanted to be thought of when you made plans. I wanted to matter. You do matter, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. Do I really? Tell me the last time you called me just to check in, not to ask for something, not to coordinate logistics, just to see how I was doing. They couldn't. I could see them both searching their memories and coming up empty. Tell me the last time you included me in a family decision before it was made instead of informing me after. Nothing. Tell me the last time you planned something around my schedule instead of expecting me to adjust to yours. Still nothing. But you can tell me exactly how much money I contribute each month, can't you? Dad's shoulders sagged. Madison, it's okay, I said, and I meant it. I'm not angry. I'm just done pretending this is something it's not. You've shown me very clearly what role I play in this family. I'm the financial backup plan. And now I'm choosing not to play that role anymore. My phone rang. Jake's ringtone. I glanced at it and let it go to voicemail. That's probably about Emma's pregnancy, I said. Did you know she's pregnant? Mum's face lit up despite the tension. She is? Oh, that's wonderful. When did they tell you? They didn't. Jake mentioned it in a text yesterday when he realised the money stopped. Interesting timing, don't you think? The light in Mum's face dimmed as she processed the implication. Jake hadn't shared his good news with his sister. He'd used it as leverage when his financial support disappeared. Dad sat back down heavily. Madison, what do you want from us? I want you to decide what you want from me. Do you want a daughter or do you want a bank account? Because I'm willing to be either, but I'm not willing to be both anymore. That's not fair, Mum said. You're our daughter no matter what. Then treat me like one. Include me. Consider me. Stop making me prove my worth through financial contribution. And if we do that, you'll, what? Resume the payments? I shook my head. I'll consider resuming financial help if and when it's asked for respectfully, with clear terms, and in the context of a genuine family relationship. But the automatic transfers are done. The assumption that I'll handle everyone's expenses is done. The idea that I owe you access to my income is done. They sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Dad asked, what about Jake's loans and Sarah's car and your mother's tuition? What about them? They can't just, Jake has a baby coming. Sarah will lose her job without reliable transportation. Your mother is 2 semesters away from her degree. Those are all solvable problems. Jake has a job and a wife with a job. Sarah can get her own car loan or buy something used. Mum can take out student loans like everyone else or save up for the final semesters. Millions of families figure out these exact issues without having an adult child bankroll everything. But we're not millions of families, Mum said. We're your family. Are we? Because yesterday you asked me to step away from your family. The weight of their words from Tuesday was finally settling in. I could see it on their faces, the realization that actions have consequences and that you can't uninvite someone from family life while expecting them to fund family expenses. Dad's phone rang. He glanced at it and declined the call. That's the bank, he said quietly. They want to discuss payment restructuring for the mortgage. I'm sorry you're dealing with that stress, I said, and I meant it. Financial pressure is really difficult. Madison, Mum started. I should probably let you go, I said, standing up. I'm sure you have a lot to figure out. They stood too, but neither moved toward the door. What happens now? Dad asked. Now you decide what kind of relationship you want with me. And I'll decide whether I want that same kind of relationship with you. But it's going to be honest, whatever it is. Mum hugged me at the door, a real hug this time, not the automatic gesture from earlier. "We love you," she whispered. "I love you too," I said. That's why I can't keep pretending this dynamic is healthy for any of us. After they left, I poured another glass of wine and sat on my balcony, watching the Austin traffic flow by below. My phone had been buzzing with more calls and texts, but I didn't check them. Tomorrow would bring more crisis management from my family, more attempts to resolve this misunderstanding. But tonight, for the first time in 8 years, I went to bed knowing that my bank account would look exactly the same in the morning as it did tonight. No automatic transfers, no surprise requests, no financial obligations to people who saw me as a resource instead of a person. The next morning brought something I hadn't expected. A text from Sarah that wasn't about money. "Madison, I need to tell you something. I voted against excluding you from Mum's party. Patricia and Jake were really pushing for it, and Mom and Dad went along. I should have spoken up more. I should have called you directly. I'm sorry." I stared at the message for a long time, an apology. Acknowledgement that there had been an actual vote about whether I belonged at my own mother's birthday party, and information about who had advocated for my exclusion. I texted back, "Thank you for telling me." She responded immediately, "Can we talk? Not about the money stuff, about us, about family. I'd like that." We agreed to meet for coffee Saturday morning. It was the first family-related plan I'd made in months that didn't involve someone asking me for something. Friday at work, Jennifer cornered me during lunch. "Okay, something's definitely different. You've been like Zen-level calm all week. What's your secret?" I stopped trying to control things I can't control, I said. Cryptic, I like it. "So about my brother." For the first time in years, I didn't immediately deflect. "Tell me about him." "Really? You're actually interested?" "I'm actually available," I realized as I said it. Emotionally available. Time-wise available. Financially stable enough to date without worrying about family emergencies draining my savings. He's a graphic designer, he's funny, he likes hiking, and he makes the best breakfast tacos in Travis County. Breakfast tacos are important. Very important. "Can I give him your number?" "Sure." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Just like that? No, let me think about it? Or maybe someday?" "Just like that." She pulled out her phone immediately. "I'm texting him right now before you change your mind." I didn't change my mind because for the first time in years, I had the mental and emotional space to consider what I wanted instead of just managing what everyone else needed. That evening, Jake called. I answered. "Madison, we need to talk." "Okay. Emma's pregnancy and it's complicated, high risk. She might need to stop working earlier than planned. We really can't handle losing the loan assistance right now." "Congratulations on the pregnancy, Jake. I hope everything goes well." "Did you hear what I said about it being high risk?" "I did. That must be really stressful for both of you." Silence. He'd expected me to immediately offer to resume payments. "Madison, this isn't about family drama. This is about practical reality. We have real financial obligations." You do have real financial obligations. You're going to be parents. It's a big responsibility. More silence. Are you going to help us or not? Are you asking me to help you or telling me that I should help you? What's the difference? Asking acknowledges that it's my choice. Telling assumes it's my obligation. Fine, I'm asking. Then I'll consider it. Send me a breakdown of your current budget, your expected expenses, and what specific help you're requesting. Include Emma in the conversation since she's part of this decision, and we'll discuss it like adults. You want a budget breakdown from your own brother? I want transparency from anyone requesting financial assistance. That's pretty standard. This is insane, Madison. We're family. We are, and family members respect each other enough to have honest conversations about money instead of just assuming someone will handle their problems. I need an answer now. We have to make decisions about Emma's work schedule. Then you'll need to make those decisions based on your own resources. When you're ready to have an adult conversation about potential assistance, call me back. I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, not from anger, but from the unfamiliarity of setting boundaries with people I'd been automatically supporting for years. My phone immediately rang again. Jake. Madison, you can't just cut us off with a baby coming. I'm not cutting you off. I'm changing the terms of engagement. There's a difference. What terms? You never had terms before. Exactly. And look how well that worked out. This is about the party thing, isn't it? You're punishing us because of Mum's birthday party. Jake, do you know why I was excluded from the party? Mum said something about keeping things simple, not wanting any drama. What drama have I ever caused at family events? Pause. You can be kind of quiet, antisocial. Have you ever asked yourself why I might be quiet at family gatherings? Not really. Have you ever asked yourself why I might feel antisocial around people who consistently exclude me from photos, conversations, and decisions? Longer pause. Jake, can you tell me one thing I've done in the past 5 years that caused actual drama at a family event? Well, no. But Patricia said what? She said you always seem like you don't want to be there anyway. So you all decided to make that a reality. It wasn't like that. What was it like? We thought you'd be more comfortable. You thought I'd be more comfortable being excluded from my mother's 60th birthday party. When you put it like that, how else would I put it, Jake? What other interpretation is there? Silence. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to really think about your answer, I said. In the past 5 years, how many times have you called me just to talk? Not to ask for money, not to coordinate family logistics, just to see how I'm doing? I waited. Jake? I'm thinking. Take your time. More silence. I can't think of any, he finally admitted. I can't either. And that's not entirely your fault. I stopped trying to connect to, because it felt like I was always interrupting more important things. But it means we don't actually have a relationship. We have a financial arrangement. That's not, we're brothers and sisters. Are we? Or are we people who share parents and a history because brotherhood and sisterhood require actual relationship, mutual interest, shared experiences, support that goes both ways? You never needed support. I never asked for support. There's a difference. I learned not to ask. Why? Because asking was consistently disappointing, it was easier to handle things myself than to hope for help that probably wouldn't come. Jake was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller. I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't know you didn't know. I thought it was obvious. What do you want from us, Madison? Really? I want you to decide if you want a sister or if you want a bank account. And I want to make that decision about whether I want a brother or just someone who calls when he needs money. Can I think about this? Of course, take all the time you need. And Jake? Yeah? Congratulations again on the baby. Really. I hope everything goes smoothly. Thanks, he said quietly. I'll call you back. After he hung up, I realised something had shifted. For the first time in our adult lives, Jake and I had just had an actual conversation about our relationship instead of just managing logistics around it. It felt strange, uncomfortable, but also hopeful. Saturday morning, I met Sarah at a coffee shop in South Austin. She was already there when I arrived, nervously stirring a latte that was probably cold by then. Thanks for coming, she said as I sat down. Thanks for asking. I keep thinking about that group chat, about how we all just went along with it. Like it was normal to vote someone out of the family. How did that conversation happen? Sarah sighed. Patricia started it. She said Mum was stressed about the party planning, about making sure everyone got along. She brought up how you sometimes seem uncomfortable at family things. And everyone agreed? Jake agreed right away. He said something about how you're always on your phone at family events, like you'd rather be somewhere else. Dad said maybe it would be simpler. Mum hesitated, but then she said maybe it would be better for you too. Better for me to be excluded. They convinced themselves it was actually kind, like they were sparing you from an event you didn't want to attend anyway. I sipped my coffee, processing this. They'd reframed exclusion as consideration. What did you say? I said I thought we should ask you first, that maybe if you seemed uncomfortable, we should figure out why instead of just removing you. But they said you'd probably just say yes to be polite, even if you didn't want to come. And then we'd all be walking on eggshells trying to make sure you had a good time. So they solved that by making sure I couldn't have a good time at all. Sarah winced. When you put it like that, it sounds really awful. It was really awful, Sarah. I know, I knew it when it was happening, but I didn't fight hard enough against it. I just let them convince me it was for the best. We sat in silence for a while, watching other families at nearby tables sharing Saturday morning together. The money thing, Sarah said eventually. I had no idea how much you'd been contributing to everyone. Dad mentioned the amount yesterday, and I literally couldn't believe it. It added up over time. Madison, that's more than I make in a year. You've been giving away more than I make. I wasn't giving it away. I was investing in family. But we weren't investing back. That was the most honest thing anyone in my family had said to me in years. No, I agreed, you weren't. I want to pay you back for the car. I don't know how, but I want to figure it out. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. She seemed smaller than I remembered, more fragile. The realization that our family dynamic had been fundamentally unfair was clearly weighing on her. I don't need you to pay me back, Sarah. I need you to think about what kind of relationship we want to have going forward. I want to have a real relationship. I want to be actual sisters instead of just people who show up to the same family events. What does that look like to you? I don't know. I guess calling each other sometimes, knowing what's going on in each other's lives, being people who choose to spend time together, not just people who happen to be related. I'd like that too. Really? Really, but it's going to require actually getting to know each other. We've been family members, but we haven't been friends. Sarah smiled for the first time since I'd arrived. I'd like to be friends with you. I'd like that too. We talked for another hour about her job, my work, her relationship, my non-existent dating life. Normal sister conversation. It felt rusty but good, like using muscles that had been dormant for years. When we were getting ready to leave, Sarah said, "What happens now with the family, I mean? I don't know, everyone gets to decide what they want. And if they decide they want things to go back to how they were, then I'll decide if that's what I want too. And if it's not, then we'll have different kinds of relationships, or no relationships. But whatever we have, we'll be honest." Sarah hugged me goodbye, a real hug, like the one Mom had given me Wednesday night. I'm sorry, Madison, for all of it, for not speaking up, for not seeing how unfair things were, for treating you like a bank instead of a sister. I'm sorry too, I said, for pulling away instead of fighting for better, for accepting the scraps instead of asking for what I actually wanted. What did you actually want? To belong, to be thought of, to matter? You do matter. I know that probably sounds empty right now, but you do. Thanks, Sarah. That means something. As I drove home, I realized that for the first time in months, I was looking forward to a family interaction. Sarah and I had made plans to have dinner next week. Just the two of us, no agenda, no crisis to manage. Just two sisters getting to know each other. It was a start.